Alright, Premier Draft Tarkir Dragonstorm. I have not drafted this set ever. I looked at some guides before the stream, but I am not prepared. But we're just gonna give it a go. We're gonna give it a go and hope we run hot, pretty much. We are in like bronze, so maybe that'll help pair us with other complete scrubs. That would be nice. All right. We are waiting. It seems like there are more filled seats just a second ago. Some people must have left. All right, we got there. Alright, everyone is selected ready relatively quickly. 3 mana, destroy target non-land permanent. Mill 3 cards, you may discard a card when you do return target creature land. Alright. That's busted. It's 3 mana, better than murder. We're just gonna snap, pick that, and be in Sultai. Ah, this card. Yeah, that's a card that exists with art. Unrooted Ancestor. That's sacrifice stuff. I don't think we want that. More removal, but not really a great creature. If we can get creatures to leave the graveyard a lot, which is sort of what Sultai does, Essence Anchor seems pretty cool. So let's take that and see what happens. Alright, a whole bunch of stuff for the wrong colors. Just take Ramp Spell. Yeah, I think it's probably just take the Ramp Spell with color fixing and everything. This pack seems pretty bad. I guess 1 mana, 1/2 flash. That seems like that's Jeskai shenanigans. We're going to take ramp. Alright, we get a Sultai Tri-land. That is incredibly tempting. Abzan Devotee is in 2 of the right colors for us. But I think Tri-land is probably better. Let's take Tri-land. I don't want to die from not having the colors. Alicia's Legacy, that is a busted combat trick, I think. Einok Wayfarer is kind of mediocre value, fills the graveyard. I'm going to take the busted looking combat trick. And sure, Rakshasa's Bargain seems pretty good. Won't say no to that. Any of the rest of these cards, there's a Jungle Hollow. Yeah, no, I think we're just taking the Rakshasa's Bargain. Alright, Sibzig Appraiser is just clean value. Abzan Devotee is recursion. Trade Route Envoy could, I guess, draw a card, and it's like a 4 mana thing. Let's take the value thing that fills the graveyard a little bit. I don't know what exactly I'm looking for. What's this? Cantrips badly and is very large and expensive. Dispelling Exile is interaction, but not great. I could just take that. That's a 3 mana 3/2 that mills me a little bit and gains me some life. Like, this sets up my synergy and helps me not die. I think the important thing is, one of the things I read is don't lean too hard into the synergies. Like, it's important to just play good cards. But a 3-mana, 3-power creature is not terrible. So as far as fixing, I have 2 pieces of fixing, pretty much. Some of this stuff can sort of help with fixing if you squint. Alright. Champion of Doosan. This is pretty much what I'm looking for, right? It's like a decent-sized creature, gets value out of the graveyard. It'll trade with something on the front half, and then boost up a creature on the back half. Abzan Devotee fixes for most of my colors. Like, the white isn't helpful, but everything else is. So we'll take that. So this is... We're in blue-green for this. So this would be what, a 4-mana, 4/3, discard a card, draw a card. Let's take it. And Wingspan Stride is in our colors. This is an artifact. Don't even know what it does. Flying Vigilance when it attacks sale 1. Alright, we actually got a pretty decent one as our last pick. Another one of these, huh? I'm pretty happy with 2 copies of this. That seems pretty cool to have. What's the rest of this stuff? Anything especially interesting? There's another champion. There's a Snakeskin Veil, I guess. But we're just going to take our rare. Alright. Beator. Creatures. Alright, that's toughness nonsense, and it's not in the right colors. Or we could take a land for dragons. I think probably we have lots of removal. Probably just want like respectable creatures that can potentially draw cards. For now, at least. Kishla Skimmer seems like it should draw a decent number of cards. And it's like a 2-mana 2/2 flyer as well. I'll pick that. I'm going to take another Roamer's Routine for more ramp and fixing. What is this? Renew. Put counters on stuff. This is like a 3-mana 3/3. Seems decent. That's removal and a creature. That's potentially quite a big flyer. I do like potentially quite big flyers. Alright, anything here good? I'm probably just going to take the Thornwood Falls here. Just gotta have the fixing. Another Opulent Palace or Piercing Exile. I think I take a second Opulent Palace just to have mana fixed. Lion Weight is cracked. Or Gurmag Night Watch. Yeah, let's take Lion Weight. That seems pretty good. Late game. Different kinds of counters. It becomes a 6/6. You cast it from your graveyard once. That seems pretty good. I do love casting big creatures from my graveyard. I don't know how I'm going to get different types of counters. But let's just take that. Bewildering Blizzard seems bad. Agent of Codis seems quite good. I feel like I might end up decking myself with this. I have lots of ways of milling, and lots of ways of getting value from the graveyard. Not entirely sure how I actually win the game. Alright. Teamer Monument is like 2 out of 3. So I guess we'll put it in the sideboard. And we can take another Watcher of the Wayside. Right, this is not what we want to be doing. That's the Jeskai half of blue. Ooh, and we get a Sultai Monument last pick. That's pretty cool. Alright. Anything fun here? Great Arishan City. I guess it can make a bunch of spirits, and we're gonna have forests, so like that's fine. Or Constrictor Sage. Constrictor Sage seems nasty. Let's take that. Alright, so we could take a rare land. We could take another Abzan Devotee. I do like this card with fixing. Do I even have big dragons? I don't think I do. I'm going to take another Devotee. That seems pretty good for our consistency. Alright. Desperate Measures doesn't seem great. So this would be a 3/2 lifelinker or a 2/1 and a 1/1. Or we could just take Heritage Reclamation as just sort of inconsistent removal that can at least cycle. Now let's take another creature. Each opponent loses 2 life, you gain 2 life, surveil 2. Not exciting. Alright. Ward 2, whenever it attacks, put a billion stun counters it and draw 3 cards. If you cast a turtle spell, untap it. That doesn't seem very good. I think we probably just take Attuned Hunter as just another thing that can win us the game. Alright, Reputable Merchant puts counters on stuff. Wayfarer mills us and is a creature. Nature's Rhythm. Do we just take... I think we just take the Tutor. Alright. Definitely not taking Sibzig Ceremony. That would be a huge throw. Auroral Procession is in color, but Sagu Pummeler is like a big-ish creature. We need to actually have big creatures to win the game at some point. And let's take another... Let's take a Cruel Truths. Surveil 2, draw 2 seems great. Let's see, anything here? I think we just take Dismal Backwater. Just have more color fixing. I don't have a huge amount of it. 3 mana 4/4 Defender that can attack sometimes. Or a Humbling Elder. This is pretty decently defensive, at least. Okay, not happy to see the second one. None of the rest of those cards are in my colors, so I'll take it. Probably just another Watcher. Alright, last couple of picks here. We have a billion 3-mana spells, which is awkward. You get a Dispelling Exhale, that's castable interaction at least. 3 mana Death Touch, Mobilize 1, Surveil 1. Alright, sure. And another random aura that gives stuff flying. Alright. Well, we have some cards. I think we cut those. Seems pretty bad. Alright, so the thing I'm noticing when I look at this is I have infinity 3 mana spells. Some of which are quite good, some of which are probably not amazing. So this is like a 4 mana, 4/3 a lot of the time. It's probably wrong. I do like this. I feel like I can make some pretty big creatures with that. With the renew ability. Alright, this is a 3 mana Death Touch. That's not really my color. That's just kind of mediocre. It's not terrible, but it's not amazing. Essence Anchor could give me a lot of 2/2s, or it could give me like a couple 2/2s. How many cards do I have that leave my graveyard? I have Agent of Codis. I have 1, 2, 3. Let's see here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so the answer is... Oh, that's 10, and it's repeatable. That's 11, 12... Alright, I have lots of ways of having cards leave my graveyard. So Essence Anchor should probably be great. So then... I want to keep like pretty much all the 2-drops I have, because I just sort of need other things on my curve than 3. What am I ramping into with Romer's Routine? It gets me to 5, which would be like this dragon, which is unplayable, and I'm going to cut. Alright. Constrictor Sage. I like that. Harmonize, I guess. Harmonize for X equals 3, or Nature's Rhythm for X equals 3 would get me one of my 1,000,000,001 3 mana creatures. So then how much fixing do I have? I have 2 Thornwood Falls, so I have 4 lands that tap for multiple colors, 2 of which are tri-lands. I have some Surveil stuff, and some draw. Yeah, okay. I think I need to keep the Romer's Routine just for color purposes, if nothing else. I don't think I need 3 of these. I'll go down to 1 of those. Maybe even 0, but it is the 3-power creature that gains me life. Like, it can't be the worst thing in the world, right? Can I get different kinds of counters? Like, ever? I don't think so. I think I can only get 1/1 counters, so this is a 4/2 that comes back as a 4/2. Which is probably still fine. I really need to find 3 mana spells to cut. Probably Champion of Doosan. And Sibzig Appraiser, maybe. Those are cuttable 3 mana spells. Sultai Monument fixes. Kishla Skimmer draws cards and is fine. That's like my only combat trick. I want to keep that in. Abzan Devotee fixes-ish and reanimates itself a bunch. I really don't like counterspells in limited. Maybe that's wrong. I don't want to cut my Humbling Elders because they're my only 1-mana spells. But I think I will. I think I'm just going to cut the 1-mana spells and have an empty spot on my curve. That spot on the curve is for playing the tap land. Alright, let's try this. I think my deck is pretty good. I have multiple on-color rares, which is always a good sign. Alright, this has Sultai Monument for black, and then... yeah, so we have Kishla Skimmer or Abzan Devotee for color, for like early stuff. There's Sultai Monument for color fixing. Awaken the Honored Dead should hopefully keep me alive. Opponent is playing a billion colors. Good to know. Well, I don't really need the lands anymore. So I'm just gonna run out Abzan Devotee. I have all of my colors now. I just need... alright. So if I do this now, I can blow up their Tactician, attack them for 2, play the Kishla Skimmer next turn, and then draw a card off of it the following turn. So that's pretty cool. Opponent has played 5-color pile. Rediscover the Way. So they get a bunch of cards, and then they get to turn creatures into double strikers temporarily. Okay, that's fine. It's definitely a good card, but it's fine. I was wondering why they were still at 20. They gained 2 life off of their lands. Like, I could have sworn I attacked them. Alright, we hit a land. We hit a Constrictor Sage that doesn't do anything at the moment. I think we just attack first, play out the Skimmer, and play out the Sultai Monument. And just grab a land. Puts down Sliver first turn, whole table, so you have chosen death. Ah, Slivers. What a fun tribe. Man, I have watched lots of YouTube videos of people playing Slivers, and it always seems way more frustrating than powerful. Alright. Looks like they have a removal spell. Maybe I should have kept up Alicia's Legacy to draw a card off of my Skimmer. Not as fun as zombies. Zombies are really fun. They're fun in different ways. The thing with Slivers is that it's really fun right up until they get board wiped, and then they do nothing ever for the rest of the game. Whereas zombies are like the opposite. They're not amazing, but it just sort of keeps working. Alright, I'm just going to draw a card real quick. And tap your creature. And get attacking. So now them giving double strike to stuff won't really matter, because it's tapped, so they're going to need haste. Alright, opponent has mastered the art of playing tap lands to gain life. I think next turn I probably... high chance I crack Sultai Monument. Alright, it looks like they're targeting my Constrictor Sage, or at least looking at it. I have no way of knowing what to expect out of a 5-color pile, so we're just gonna Just gonna sort of chill. Alright. Caustic Exhale to kill my Abzan Devotee, which is just going to come back anyway. And then they do some card advantage real quick. So I can just return this. That's fine. And be attacking them in the meantime. Alright. I'm going to play a tap land and attack. And I think I make a pair of 2/2s here. Seems considerably more aggressive than just returning the Devotee. And I think I'm the beatdown right now. They have more cards in hand, so that's generally a good sign. Alright. They get to Tempest Hawk to find another Tempest Hawk if they have it. And they do not. 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Alright, shout out to my boy Constrictor Sage. So they have a 4/4 dragon. I'm just going to attack and Alicia's Legacy them. Alright, you don't actually get to kill my creature. 2, 3, 4, so I can't play the Earthcarver either way. So I'll just play a tap land and pass. Dragonback Assault. Whenever a land you control enters, make a 4/4. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that one. That seems pretty good against everything I'm up to. Mobilize 2 attacking tokens you control have Death Touch. Sure, why not? So I guess that would give the 1/1 they get Death Touch. Alright, I'm going to return the Devotee to my hand. Alright, do I play a 7/7 Reach? How much mana do I have? 6, 7, 8. So I can play the Earthcarver and the Devotee. Okay. I think we attack, and because they have this, they're going to have a billion... They're presumably going to have 4/4 dragons, so I think this needs to be a 7/7, just in order to have value in combat. Alright, so they could block... They could block either way, or they could just let it happen. Alright, we get the hit in. And we make a big guy, and we make a littler guy. So now we hope a 7/7 Reach doesn't die to a removal spell and is able to stonewall them in combat, or potentially even attack. This Cruel Truths is going to be important. If it works, then I think we're doing fine. Also, we kind of need them to not draw lands, weirdly. Kind of need them to just draw like 1 and 2 mana spells. Alright, another Tempest Hawk. They could have searched for to begin with. And a Sinkhole Surveyor. Alright, they're attacking with that guy. He doesn't have Death Touch. Well, I'm gonna blunder right into their combat trick, because I kind of think I have to. Alright. That's fine, that could have been a lot worse. Lie in wait, there are no creatures in my graveyard for that. Alright, let's Cruel Truths. And try to find anything. Alright, well... we can attack. Are our attacks good? Yes, they are. Because, well, the lion weight makes our attacks good, pretty much. Not the Devotee, though. The Devotee can stay back. These guys can go in. It is attacking for 6 and they're at 9, so I feel like they have to do something soon. Alright, they take a free block. And what else do? They double block the Constrictor Sage. Alright, they sure are thinking. No, they take their free block and they take 4. I'm going to play a 4-3 and draw a card. 'Tis a land. And I guess I can cast Harmonize. So I'll tap a 4-mana creature to pay for the Harmonize cost, get the last swamp into play, I guess, and pass. So it's not much ramping, but it is ramping. Alright, they finally found a land which makes them a 4-4. And they find another land which makes them another 4-4. Yikes. Hate to see it. Alright, I'm taking my block with the Devotee on the Nurturer. Probably, right? Does this do more as an attacker? Not really. They have a 1-1 blocker. Alright, so I am dead in the air to their 4-4s. Alright, I can awaken the Honored Dead to blow up one of their dragons. I have... what creatures are it? Literally just the Devotee. So I guess we attack with our 4 power creatures. And I think we leave the 2/7 back. I don't know. Maybe attacking with the 2/7 was right. They're just going to take the old chump. Alright, so now I can lie in wait, get back the Devotee, kill the Tempest Hawk, which is not incredible, but I'm pretty sure leaves me alive. Equal to that creature's power. Yep. So that does that. And now I play out these guys. And hope for a miracle. They get another 4/4 dragon, because of course they do. Alright. Maybe if I can keep killing their dragons, they will die to their Sinkhole Surveyor. Maybe. Alright. Pummeler. Pummeler makes something big and gives it reach. Is that enough? No. Nature's Rhythm. I have no idea what that gets. So, okay, I can make one big reach creature. I don't know. Let's do X equals like 4-ish. And maybe there'll be something here. I don't know, let's get a creature, I guess. And attack. I think we have to attack with everything. And maybe the math will work out in our favor, because we're definitely dead on board if we go to blocks. Maybe I should have gotten... I feel like there was something in there that might have given out like a 1/1 counter or something. Maybe that would have been enough. We are getting a block with a dragon. Oh, and they're dead. Cool. I didn't do the math, but it worked out. That was a very, very scary game. Opponent was just literally playing 5-color whatever cards they feel like. And we were barely able to win. Yeah, when you're 5-color, I'll play every rare in my pool. It happens to get all of its colors. It's real scary. Alright, so we have 3 mana. We have literally nothing until we ramp on 3. An opponent is going first. I feel like this has to be a mulligan, but I'm not happy about it. Alright, this is much better. We will bottom Lion Weight, since it's sort of a late game card. So we can play a Kishla Skimmer on 2, a Monument on 3, or vice versa, depending on whether we need something to awaken immediately. The opponent is thinking. We play a Quarry Mountain Monastery, which indicates Jeskai or Boros. We find a 3rd land. It's also blue, so we're going to need to Sultai Monument for our black source. Alright. As expected, there's red-white. I think we lead on Sultai Monument to get a black source so that, like, they aren't doing anything super aggressive at the exact moment. So we can take a turn to set up, probably. Alright. Not super happy about just passing in Rakshasa's bargain. They're probably sitting on a bunch of removal, right? Like, that's why they haven't done anything. I think maybe I just don't play the Skimmer out until I can draw something reasonably quickly. Alright, they have a Flying Mobilize 1. I'm going to bargain. Put 2 cards into my hand and the rest into the graveyard. I will take an Attuned Hunter and an Island and put the 2 cards with Graveyard Synergy into the graveyard. Literally just 3 mana draw 4 seems pretty good. Now they've given me a reasonably scary creature. I will awaken that and continue milling. And then next turn, I would love to play Kishla Skinner plus Attuned Hunter. And then the turn after, Awaken the Undead triggers. It gives me infinite value. More mobilize gives target creature indestructible. Alright, more value turning up in the graveyard. Play a creature. Play a creature. So that can be like a 4/3 indestructible. Oh no, that's when it enters, not when it attacks. Okay, this is not very scary. Stormplane Detainment takes the Hunter, which makes sense. That was the creature that I was sort of relying on to win the game. I'm not going to block. The Skimmer getting blown out by a combat trick is way worse than taking a point of damage. Alright. What in here do I want? Yeah, I think I discard... No, I want a land drop. I think I discard Watcher of the Wayside to get back 100 Battle Veteran and draw a card. Alright, so now we can just play the 100 Battle Veteran. This is once each turn. Those are both sorcery speeds, so I'm not going to do anything with that. I think I just attack. I tapped out of black, so I can't save this. Alright, I lose my Skimmer. That's unfortunate. I am going to ramp a second Swamp. Alright, so they can do that again. I would really love some way of removing that enchantment. They just activated Quarry Mountain Monastery. Oh no, my graveyard. That is horrible of them. Alright, let's play Constrictor Sage. It is a 4/4. It taps down their thing. And then we can crack the Sultai Monument next turn if we want. Bone Cairn Butcher has Mobilize 2 and gives attacking tokens Death Touch. Alright, let's Cruel Truths. I'll take Essence Anchor. That seems decent in this situation. I'll play a land to hold up Alicia's Legacy and stay on defense. I'm down. Alright, target creature can't block this turn is brutal. I think I'm practically dead now. Yeah, I go to literally 1, and they have a bunch of Mobilize, so there's no way I am blocking everything. Well, obviously surveilling away a forest that does nothing. Alright. Opponent had a lot of answers to what I was doing when I was doing it. So unfortunately, like, you know, they had basically sideboard cards against us. And they also had a bunch of powerful on-color effects, and so we died. I feel like my opponents just consistently get better draft pools than me. Like where are you finding all this stuff? Alright, we have good early creatures, we have ramp, we have all of our colors. This is fine. Opponent goes first again. Opponent says hello. I will respond with a hello of my own. They go basic plains. I obviously play a tap land. They make a 2/2 soldier. I'll play Agent of Codis. Reasonably happy to make this trade. I get great graveyard value. They are Esper. Esper is not a thing in this format, right? There's definitely no Esper deck here, right? Champion of Dusant. Oh, that was a forest. I thought that was an island for some reason. That's fine. So they're Abzan then. Alright, let's play an Attuned Hunter. And so hopefully next turn we can just make this guy huge. And then maybe they won't have any removal spells and they'll just die to it. No blocks. Because if we put 2 counters on the Attuned Hunter and it gets a 3rd, that's a lot of counters for a Trampler. If they play an Outrider... Alright, there we go. And I will attack with a 6/6 trample. Alright, so now I just need to not lose the race. And also not get removal spelled. Alright, pretty sure I just lose this game. Okay, Pummeler actually. Play that, have a 4/4. Maybe locks it on Battle Priest, makes their menace creature even bigger and scarier. Yeah, I have to block. Alright, I can Constrictor Sage, tap down their menace creature, gain a life off of a land. So I've bought myself like a turn. Second Loxodon Battle Priest is unbeatable. Yep, alright, cool. Well, yeah, I mean, like, nothing we're doing here matters. I'm just going to play out my creatures and then die. Opponent once again had the perfect removal spell and all the perfect creatures, and sure, play a rare. Why not? Okay. One of these days we're going to get an opponent who didn't have the nut draw. Alright, let's try to get lucky and not play against like the best draft packs we've ever seen in the history of the planet, like our last couple opponents have had. Alright. Waiting for an opponent. We found one. And we have our mana. We have an early creature. We have a removal spell, sort of. I'll play a tap land, which instantly gives away my exact color identity. They're doing Teamer, it looks like. So that's a defender, so I don't really have to worry too much about that. Play. Yep, alright. So that's a 3/3 that drains, basically. I think I'm going to play Essence Anchor and pass. Alright, yep. They can attack. Oh, double strike. Cool. I don't know how I ever beat the double strike prowess creature. So I can play a trade route envoy and make it a 5/4, which might be able to trade with a double strike prowess creature in combat if I get extraordinarily lucky. This Essence Anchor is going to need to do a fair amount of work. Okay, they have tapped it and put 3 stun counters on it, because of course they have. Also notably makes the Brushmaster much larger. I think we have to chump block here, so that I don't take 9 this combat. Alright, so how do I ever win here? I play an Attuned Hunter, I play a Sultai Monument, and I get a Forest. And I'm just going to trade the Attuned Hunter with the Stalwart, I think. I need to not die. They've cast a spell. They're probably about to cast a second one. Like Anafenza, for example. So let's... Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, it endures 2. Yeah, let's take our block. Maybe it'll trade. They might have a combat trick. Okay, their combat trick is just that they get an endure token. Obviously, putting that one away. So we can play this, get a 3/3. And not be completely dead. Oh, they get to pick an instant or sorcery back up. Cool, that seems reasonable. See, how is it my opponents always get to do this sort of stuff when I'm stuck here playing like 6 mana, 7 power? Alright, I guess... Am I dead here? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Technically, no. I'll go to 1. Surveil another useless land to the graveyard. Do I have a big creature in there? Not big enough. Alright, cool. Alright, so I have learned my lesson from this first draft. This is not a format for skill and decision making. This is a format for just play aggressively and beat your opponent down before anyone can do anything interesting. So I'm going to keep that in mind when we go into the next draft for the day. So yeah, basically, If a card looks like it might lead to interesting skill-based magic, I should stay away because it means it's bad. Alright. Smile at Death. At the beginning of your upkeep, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Put a 1/1 counter on each. Well, we're taking the Mythic. Martyr Siegebreaker, 4 mana, 4/4 Death Touch Haste. Exile a thing, and then... Alright. Well, we're not gonna get that. Not gonna get that one back around to us, but we're just gonna take the Smile at Death. Martyr Siegebreaker is actually probably better. I don't know. I'll take Smile at Death because it's a mythic, and I do like mythics. All right, this card is completely unfair. So I'm probably just going to take this and do the old Jeskai thing. Is this power 2 or less? Oh, so I can get this back if it ever dies? Cool. Seems reasonable to me. Alright, anything else in this pack? The Kishla Trawlers are good. Humbling Elder could help with casting multiple spells in a turn. Frontline Rush. Create 2 1/1s or give something a giant pump. I like that. That seems nice and aggressive and fun. Alright. Anything else in Jeskai? Removal. More long-term buffs, but I think we just take Frontline Rush. Alright, so there's Jeskai Devotee, Monastery Messenger. Can get a spell back. Let's take Jeskai Devotee. That seems pretty good. It's almost got prowess. Or maybe locks it on Battle Priest. Nah, let's take the thing that fixes our mana as well. Effortless Master seems pretty good. So we have all of these payoffs for casting a bunch of spells. We are going to need, at some point, to pick cards like Unending Whisper that are just a second spell we can cast. Let's take Effortless Master and Unending Whisper. Or maybe Wild Ride. Now, Unending Whisper seems like it's better at making sure we don't completely stop doing the thing once we start. Alright, Seized Opportunity. Wingspan Stride. Giving my aggressive creatures evasion seems fun. Seize Opportunity could dig me out of a tight spot, though. That's until end of your next turn, because of course it is. Alright, so what payoffs do I currently have? I have Jeskai Devotee. I have Jeskai Brushmaster. I have Effortless Master, which is sort of like a payoff. Obviously very, very early, but this deck already seems to be coming together quite nicely. And that's beginning of your upkeep, right? Alright. Quarry Mountain Stalwart is just like a decent creature with a flurry trigger, or we could take Windsguard Crag. I think we take decent creature with a flurry trigger. And here I think we take Twin Bolt. It's removal adjacent, and it's a cheap spell. Alright, Wild Ride kills opponents quick. So we're going to take that. This is an instant, right? No, it's a sorcery. Okay. Gives haste, though, so still pretty good. Wild Ride on Jeskai Brushmaster is 6 power. No, it's so much worse than that. Okay. That is a combat trick that sticks around. This is a combat trick that gives evasion and is cheaper. I think I like evasion. Alright, waiting on our opponents to pass. Alright, so we could take a Temur Devotee. It's not exciting. It's a defender, and I'm an aggressive deck. Humbling Elder is quite good. I do love combat tricks that are also creatures that stick around. Stadium Headliner, 1 mana, 1/1, mobilize 1, does obnoxious mobilize stuff. River Wheel Sweep is a removal spell in the colors. Let's take the removal spell. We can do that as one of our spells for the turn. Remove a blocker and find some more gas. Seems pretty good. Devoted Duelist is not exciting, but might be good enough. Sunpearl Kirin. What does this do? Return a thing if it's a token, draw a card. Now, I think we take Devoted Duelist as a good aggressive creature. Stormbeacon Blade, Monastery Messenger. Monastery Messenger is flying vigilance. Put a thing back on top of the library. Don't love that. Ringing Strike Mastery is 1 mana, get rid of a blocker for basically forever. I do love that. Dragonologist, 3 mana. Get an instant sorcery or dragon. Highspire Bellringer gets my second spell better. Dragonologist helps my instants and sorceries. I would take the rare. Let's see here. Another River Wheel Sweep. Seems good. I definitely need the card advantage in this deck. Twin Bolt or Unending Whisper. I think it's Unending Whisper. Or maybe Coordinated Maneuver. I think it's the technically card advantage. Alright. Riverwalk Technique is very slow interaction. Seize Opportunity is either card advantage or just kill my opponent. Alright. Unsparing Boltcaster is super awkward. I think we take Twin Bolt and just have it as a cheap removal spell. So if our opponents are going super aggro, we can do something about that. We need more payoffs. We have lots of good spells to be doing, but I would love another copy of Jeskai Brushmaster, another copy of Effortless Master, those sorts of cards. Smile at Death is sort of a win con. Alright. The other players are taking a while to make their picks. I haven't been making them super fast either. Alright, so we have a globe that fixes mana. We need to be thinking about mana fixing at some point. I have literal 0 of it. So I think we have to take that, which is awkward because it's not very good, but we need mana fixing. I don't think I have any dragons. Stormshriek Feral. 5 mana, Flying Haste with bad fire breathing. I guess Flying Haste is not completely embarrassing. Highspire Bellringer. I'm going to take Highspire Bellringer. And Underdogs, I guess. And another Devoted Duelist. Last pick, some random green card. Alright. We could have a Dalkovan Encampment. Or an Equilibrium Adept. I think we take... Do we take the land? Or do we take... I think we take Narset's Rebuke. It's very, very good at getting 2 spells. But the land is tempting to push damage, but I think Narset's Rebuke is probably better. Moonscale Stormbrood is a kind of bad big creature. Sibzig Appraiser is a 2-for-1. Moonscale Stormbrood, I guess we could have this for early in the game, or we could take this to turn off a blocker. I think turning off a blocker is probably better. Alright, so then we have random stuff. Lightfoot Technique, maybe? Or another Jeskai Devotee. I think Lightfoot Technique. I think I'm in for combat tricks in this deck in particular. We get another Jeskai Devotee the next time around. That's great for color fixing, which we definitely need. Oh, we get another Brushmaster. We are doing well now. Alright, Fire Inform, Storm Beacon Blade. I think we take this one because it's a combat trick, but this one... That one sticks around. I think we'll try that. Alright. Defibrillating Current is bad removal, I think. Is 4 mana removal bad? I don't even know. Let's take it and find out, I guess. Alright, Rebellious Strike, +3/+0 and draw a card. Seems fantastic. Kills my opponent and lets me keep going. Dragonclaw Strike, double power and toughness, and then fight. Now let's take Monastery Messenger. And... Okay, I guess we take Dragonback Lancer. And random card. Fortress Kinguard is playable. Reigning Victor, probably not. Watcher of the Wayside, probably not. Alright, we have a decent aggressive deck here, I think. So I need to figure out what I'm cutting. Dragonback Lancer, definitely. Defibrillating Current, probably. Quarry Mountain Stalwart is one of my flurry payoffs. Don't want to cut that. Underfoot Underdogs seems bad for my deck. Highspire Bellringer, I just sort of want to have the mana to cast my second spell anyway. So I think we cut that. Dragonologist, I think also goes. It's very much value and not so much win the game. Alright. We can cut random Endure Creature. I think like all of these 1-mana spells are kind of important. Is there anything up at the top that we want to cut? Stormshriek Feral? Yeah, I think that goes. Alright, Narset's Rebuke is expensive, but it is very good at casting double spells in a turn. So I think we keep that. Smile at Death is incredible. We're obviously keeping that. Let's see. Dragonstorm Globe. What's my mana situation looking like? Not great. I have 2 Jeskai Devotees, and I guess the card draw helps. Alright. How many combat tricks do I have? Because I think we need to cut some. Stormbeacon Blade isn't really even a combat trick. Wingspan Ride is quite good. Unending Whisper is card draw. Ringing Strike Mastery is basically 1 mana. It's basically blue Swords to Plowshares. Like, unless it has ability, obviously. Humbling Elder is a 1-mana flash creature, and that's probably good enough. You can mess with combat tricks. Maybe it's Monastery Messenger that has to be cut, because it doesn't even draw a card. Alright, let's see, what else? Maybe maybe Twin Bolt isn't good. And Humbling Elder. I have to make 1 more cut. And I think it's going to be Summit Intimidator. Alright, we definitely have an aggressive curve with this deck. We definitely have creatures and spells. Hopefully we do better than the Sultai deck that we just played. Alright, we have 0 castable spells here. Thank you, Mana Base. Alright, this hand, though, is quite good. We're going to bottom one of the planes and keep all of our spells. And opponent is also choosing whether to mulligan or not. Hopefully they mulligan, or hopefully they keep a hand that they should have mulliganed. Alright. I don't think I play Unending Whisper on 1. I want to get some sort of flurry out of it at some point. They do Roost Seek. So Forest and Island. Alright, little bit punished for Frontline Rush, but I think it's choose one, so I'm not going to be doing both. 3/3 Defender, my nemesis. I'll draw a card here. And I think I pass and just plan on taking this a bit slow. We can Frontline Rush end of turn to get a couple of goblins. Alright. Power equal to the number of creatures you control. Alright, give me some goblins, please. Alright. And I'll play my prowess creature. And no attacks. Alright, maybe they just won't block my prowess creature and I will get to deal 1 billion damage to them. Please just attack with your creatures and then let me kill you. Because I think Rebellious Strike, this would get prowess trigger, so it's a 3/5. Plus 3, so it's a 6/5. So that would be 12 damage on its own. And if I play the Unending Whisper first, it would be even more than that. Trade Route Envoy. Yep, makes sense. Alright. This is actually great, because I can play this. I'm pretty sure that this attack is going to be a problem for them, like, no matter what. The fact that I get 2 Devoted Duelist triggers off of it is also quite good. I'm gonna push damage here. Alright. I think they're dead, because I drew this. So I played this, I Unending Whisper, and they literally just straight up die. To my Devoted Duelists. Yeah, you can make a 5/5 elephant. Have fun with your 5/5 elephant, opponent. Why are you trying to tap like that? Tap like that, please. Okay. I did the math wrong. What's harmonized? Creature's power? Okay. That's fine. I literally just need to draw any spell that is castable, and actually, yeah, I have so many things that kill them. Like a basic land lets me Unending Whisper plus seize the opportunity. Actually, no, they're dead next turn. I seize opportunity, which will pump my Stalwart, which makes Unending Whisper cheaper because I can tap it. And then they die. And I have 1 billion random 1/1s. So, like, these 5/5s are not attacking meaningfully. Alright. We draw the land. I'm going to do it like this. Doesn't matter how I do it. Cast my second spell for the turn. Get a bit of direct damage. Alright. Well, that was certainly a game. We definitely killed them quickly. They probably should have chump blocked my double strike creature. Funny how that works. I think if they don't punt, it's a lot harder for us. But even so, like, we still have a double strike creature in play. This hand has no creatures. Not going to 5. I think we bottom the sweep. And I think we have to turn 1 Unending Whisper just to try to find stuff faster, because we currently have nothing. Our opponent has a 2-mana 3/1 that ramps and can kill flyers. A little bit spooky. Alright. I don't want to seize opportunity here because I want to be casting the Jeskai Brushmaster next turn. You know, the unfortunate thing is my opponent is just doing the same thing as me, except they actually had a 2-mana creature and a 3-mana creature, so I lose this game. Almost certainly. But we're going to try. We have to not give this flying unless we can also give it enough to save it. Oh, seize opportunity is instant. That's good to know. Alright, they attack, and I assume they're going to cast some sort of spell. Alright, what is your post-combat spell? You left that untapped for a reason. Please play more quickly, opponent. Alright, the opponent is dedicated to playing as slow as possible. Alright. A frontline rush that could have dealt a billion damage to me. Well, I'm going to play my Brushmaster. And hope that I live. I will block the 3-power creature with my 4-toughness creature, and then get... I mean, if they have any combat trick, I lose. I think if I don't block and they have any combat trick, I also lose. Alright. It was not a combat trick, was a removal spell, but I still lose. Ah, what a fun format. I love sitting here trying to see who can eat glue faster than the other person. Okay. Let's try to win a game. Currently waiting. Alright, we have Devoted Duelist as a castable spell. We have a removal spell. If we draw a blue source, Vigilance, Wreath, Death Touch. Sure. I think we attack here. So I would love to draw a blue source. I would love for them to just not do anything very quickly. Right, coordinated maneuver kills my guy, and then they get in for 1. Alright, blue source acquired. I'm not using this on a stupid 1/1, even if it has Death Touch. I think we continue passing, and then next turn we can play Smiles at Death and start getting value off of that. Hollow Merc Siege. What does that do? Puts a counter on something and gives it Menace. Or draws them cards. Alright, they chose the draws them cards mode. I'm going to make a couple of goblins and double block the sniper. Alright, now we play Smile at Death, and we see if they can ever beat the value. It's currently just Devoted Duelist. Alright, so we can't play Effortless Master plus Ringing Strike this turn, but we can play Quarry Mountain Stalwart plus Ringing Strike, which is arguably even more aggressive. Alright. It sure is raining. It's raining like crazy outside, in case you can't hear. So they can spend their entire turn untapping the Trade Route Envoy. Or they can play a random 2/2, which becomes a 3/3 and draws them a card. Alright, let's pay 3 mana, tap their blocker, and choose one of them. You may cast it this turn. Oh, whenever a counter is put on a creature you control. That's funny. Alright. Yeah, let's... I mean, if they have a combat trick, they have a combat trick. But... Alright, opponent was trying to play fun, interactive Magic, but unfortunately for them, aggro exists in the format. God, imagine how much more fun Draft would be if aggro was just bad. Like, wouldn't that be cool? If we could play mid-range mirrors instead of having to do this. God, it's raining so hard out. It's hard to think. Alright. We have 2 lands, no castable spells. We have an Unending Whisper, which will hopefully get us an additional look at a 3rd land. And also opponent goes first. So we get an additional look there as well. I think I keep this. If I draw a red source, it's quite good. Alright, opponent has played green. Alright, I find another white source, which is not what I want to see. Abzan Monument. Getting them a swamp. Alright. So far, Operation Draw a Red Mana Source at any point is a failure. We're just going to keep playing lands then. If we get one more land, we can River Wheel Sweep. Even for the expensive cost. Enters, you can mill 3, and it adds a bunch of mana. Alright. Well, we find another land at the cost of one of our best cards. And we have we have managed to do nothing for the first 5 turns of the game, approximately. I guess I can tap down the Attuned Hunter with Riverwheel Sweep next turn, and hopefully find a land that way. And RC, you have to pay that mode. It's probably actually the 4/4 that I have to tap down, and just hope they don't have anything useful. Alright, red land acquired. We pass. And we have literally 1 mountain and 1 billion cards in our hand that all need to be cast using that 1 mountain. So I'm not optimistic about this one. Like, we have the mountain, at least, but they actually have cast spells for the first 6 turns of the game. Alright, second mountain. Second mountain, make a pair of 1/1s. Make a 6/6, 6/5 Vigilance Menace. Alright, now if they don't have any removal for my Effortless Master, maybe we can begin to think about turning this around at some point in the future, maybe. See, they're hovering it, which I don't love. Notably, I'm at 8. This doesn't have reach. They put a counter on the 5/5 to draw a card. And then they fight. Yep, I'm super dead. Alright. Well, in order to... See, this is my problem with aggro decks, is that you miss a land drop for 1 or 2 turns and it's over. Like, everything has to go perfectly in order for it to work, which means it is basically... Like, you're basically just gambling. Like, there isn't really skill. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, and you don't have much control over it. Like, imagine if I'd drawn, like, a red mana in my opener, as, like, I would have crushed them easily. Their hand was super slow and bad, but my hand was slower and badder, so... so we got run over. Alright, we find another opponent. Alright, no blue source, but we do have castable spells with our mana. And we also don't have as much blue. Like, the Brushmaster is quite late. We have lots of time to draw into that. Right, I'm going to frontline rush to make some goblin tokens, as one does. Bonk. More red and white. We pass. Every turn we pass is a turn that is not great. So next turn we can sweep. Alright, they've played a 4/3. Our chance of winning this game is decreasing significantly. We can, like, Narset's Rebuke into Riverwheel Sweep to get rid of 2 things. Alright. We just let that hit us. We find more mana of useless colors. So we can tap down their Tawny back or kill it. Alright, I don't know why I didn't get an opportunity to do that. I think we double block there. Oh, this is a sorcery, that's why. Thought that was an instant. So we can... Yeah, I think we... But the thing is, like, Narset's Rebuke is low-key a way we can cast the Brushmaster. So I think I want to do this instead. Alright, we find a blue source. That's great. That's fantastic news. We found a blue source. They're not killing us quickly at this rate. What was the card we got rid of? A Jeskai Devotee. I guess that would have also technically been a blue source. And also a creature. Maybe that was better. Right. Of course, we draw a blue source right on time. 2/4 double strike prowess. Can you win me the game on your own? Does my opponent have any removal? Humbling Elders means they at least get attacks in. Alright. Do they have the thing that deals 1 billion damage to you if you try to block? I think they probably do, and I think my Brushmaster is too important. So I think I just have to take the damage. Yep, called that one. Alright. Those are both instants. Does that give vigilance? No, flying and indestructible. So I could make this a 4-power attacker, swing in for 8, and then just freaking die on the backswing. So we have to stay patient here. Brushmaster on defense, the old classic. Alright, 3/3 flyer, that gains them life. That's annoying because it makes winning this race a lot harder. Alright, let's deal 5 damage to the Boltcaster. And then block the Botanist. I don't think I need the mana. I think I would much rather have a spell for future turns. Alright. We have another spell. But now they're Tawny back untapped, so that's yet another thing I have to worry about. I only have one Lightfoot technique. Pretty sure I'm just dead here. Pretty sure, like, they attack with everything. I either take 5 in the air, or I take... Alright, well, we're gonna fire up the Brushmaster. And block the 3/3 flyer, chump block that one. And maybe there's a bug and they accidentally gave one of these things lifelink. Nope. Alright. Alright. So yeah, my conclusion, I played 2 Tarkir Dragonstorm drafts now, and this is an awful format. Like, might legitimately be some of the least interesting draft games I've ever played in my entire life. So we're gonna finish off the stream by playing Pioneer. And that way we can actually have fun games of Magic. Rakdos Midrange Explorer. Change the stream title on Twitch. Don't know how to do that on YouTube, but oh well. So yeah, probably there's a very high chance that I simply will not draft Tarkir Dragonstorm ever again. Like if there are other options of draft available, I will do those. Alright. Turn 1 Thoughtseize. Always good. Okay. We're doing this. I will take your Thoughtseize. I have Go for the Throat for the Bloodletter, so I don't really care about that. Play a Fear of Missing Out, get rid of one of these Fables. Withering Torment is a great draw. More removal. Another Fable is also a pretty good draw. I think we attack first, see if they do anything. And then we play a Fable. So they can torch the Goblin Shaman. Yep. Goblin Shaman has been torched. Play a Blood Tithe Harvester. Alright, Fatal Push is great. I will discard those two. Didn't want to hit lands. I actually wanted to specifically not hit lands. Alright. Play another red source, since I currently only have one of those. And swing for another 2. And pass. Yep. Blood token, get away an extra land. Always makes sense. Love Go for the Throat, pausing to see if I want to kill my own Fear of Missing Out. Very cool. Alright, opponent concedes. Easy win. Bring in Invoke Despair, Anger of the Gods, Extinction Event, Anoint with Affliction. Bring out Fatal Push and Blood Tithe Harvester. So the thing with this matchup is that you really need to be able to kill their unstoppable slashers. You don't really need to kill, like, the random Blood Tithe Harvesters and stuff are not nearly as much of a concern. And the Unholy Annexes are hugely important, which is why the Duresses and Thoughtseizes stay in. Alright, this hand works. Does all the things you would want a hand to do, in terms of not dying at least. Blackleaf Cliffs, turn 1 Thoughtseize. I think I'll just take your Slasher. I could, like, work through a whole process of, like, torching it, but I'm just have them not have access to it in the first place. I'll get rid of Swamp. Alright, 3rd Blackleaf Cliffs. Mana base is perfect. They anoint my Fear of Missing Out, as expected. And cast Fable. I'm going to Thoughtseize them first, see if there's anything I need to torch. Nope, just a whole bunch of lands. Okay. So now their hand could be anything. And I'm just going to play a tap land next turn unless I draw something. Yikes. Thoughtseize taking my Invoke Despair is a huge problem. And an Unstoppable Slasher. I have a Torch the Tower, so if I can find a thing to do with it, then that'll be fine, but I didn't. Which means I'm about to lose half of my life. Yippee! What fun. Alright. And they have a Reflection of Kiki Jiki, so I literally, like, am about to die any second now. Yep, I go to 5. They play another Fable. And I need exactly Anger of the Gods, or... yeah, exactly Anger of the Gods, pretty much. How about a basic land? Alright, the bad luck seems to have followed me from draft into at least the first match of Constructed. Alright, we have 2 discard spells this time, and we're on the play, and our opponent has mulliganed. That bodes very well. Opponent has mulliganed, which means hopefully this will be a relatively easy game. I'm going to Thoughtseize on one in case there's a creature I need to urgently take. Alright, let's take the Slasher, duress the Fable, and then deal with the giant guy somehow. Alright, play a Verge. Alright. Withering Torment is one way of dealing with the Bloodletter. We've also managed to resolve an Unholy Annex with a Mutavault in play. Alright, up you go Mutavault, start gaining me some life. There's the Bloodletter, which I'm going to invoke Despair that actually, save my Withering Torment for later. Alright. Invoke Despair, you kill your Bloodletter, draw 2 cards. And I do take a fair amount of damage from that, but I think it's worthwhile. Opponent agrees. Alright, we're gonna hopefully just fly through gold. It's very annoying. I was literally 1 game away from Mythic last season and then it reset. The usual. Alright, find another opponent. And turn 1 Fatal Push, turn 3 Unholy Annex is not exciting, but might be fine. Play another Blackleaf Cliffs. Just have the perfect mana. Field of Ruin, Waste Not. Got it. Alright, rather not have this Fable against the Waste Not deck. Frankly, I don't mind a handful of lands against the Waste Not deck. Asylum Visitor. Alright, you can go away. And Fable of the Mirrorbreaker can get cast. And I should be maybe prioritizing firing up the Mutavault more. Waste Not decks are basically burn decks a lot of the time. Alright, 4/4 flying, ward, discard a card. I'm going to give you 4 mana in my main phase. See if you can do anything with it. I suspect you can't. And I'll change phases. No attacks. Duress you. Double Invoke Despair. Okay. Well, we're taking one of the Invoke Despairs. And we're firing up a Mutavault. And playing another Fable. Alright. Second Thoughtseize, just a little bit too late to save us from this Invoke Despair, but it's not so bad. We have lots of disposable stuff. Oh, they're Thoughtseizing us. Okay. Thoughtseize my Thoughtseize, they draw a card. Liliana. That's annoying.
Let's make this quick. I'm tired of your secrets.
Get her this Blood Crypt. Do I have anything good in the graveyard? No. We don't have enough mana to do anything meaningful. Alright. Giving them mana is free. I don't really need the land. Oh, Duress is so incredibly good. Take your Invoke Despair. And they concede. Alright. You'd love to see it. I'll bring in my own Invoke Despairs. Waste Knots and Lilianas and stuff. And Scavenger Regents. Okay, that's a board wipe. It's a board wipe that can be cast. Not gonna worry about that one. Bring in my own Liliana, I guess. No, probably not. I don't want to be triggering their Waste Knots for myself. Alright, let's cut 2 Fear of Missing Out, 1 Blood Tithe Harvester, and just call it a day. Relatively light sideboarding. Alright, we keep this, and if we draw a red land, we're good to go. If we don't draw a red land, we're kind of in a lot of trouble. But they have Thoughtseizes, so you never want to mulligan. Like, their whole thing is getting you low on resources. If you mulligan, you're doing their work for them. Alright. So far, no red source. Asylum Visitor, which is just gonna die. Please give me a red source. Okay, well, I guess we attack them with Mutavault, because it's the literal only thing we can do this turn cycle. And they concede for some unknowable reason. I mean, I was moments away from conceding myself, and then they conceded. I guess they just don't want to play against the matchup. Seems weird. Alright, let's do another one. Alright, opponent is taking forever to decide whether they want to play first. So that is frustrating. I'm gonna have to wait for them. They've probably left. Like, we're probably going to just get roped, and then they're gonna concede. Alright, no, they did eventually show up. Which is somehow worse because it probably means they're just going to be playing rope speed the entire game. Right, Elvish Mystic. Well, you know what they say about bolting the bird. And I'll Thoughtseize on turn 2 instead of playing Blood Tithe Harvester, I think. Right. Hostile Hotel, what on earth? I need to see what you're doing. Okay, you're this deck, but without the Yorion, I guess. Does this deck normally play Yorion? I think it does. Alright, they managed to find another Llanowar Elves anyways. Alright, they could sack their Llanowar elves to put a soul counter on this, and if there are 3 soul counters, it becomes a 3/7 that exiles creatures from graveyard and drains life. Okay, that seems irrelevant. I think my only out here is to just try to kill them relatively quickly. And they can cast a stupid Cavalier of Thorns this turn, so it's not going to work. Alright. Technically that kills the Cavalier of Thorns, and actually it exiles the Cavalier of Thorns if they fall for this, which they might not. Alright. The bait has been accepted. Cast with Bargain. Sack the blood. Cavalier exiled. And now we'll play a Fable. So we've killed one Cavalier at great expense to ourselves, knowing that they have a second one, and nothing we're doing in this game matters. Oh boy, Cavalier of Thorns. I think they actually bricked on a land that time, so that's something, I guess. Well, I'll play Shieldred and pass, and if their last card is something that I needed to Thoughtseize this turn, then I'll be very sad, but realistically they have Storm the Festival flashback probably, because they have 4 Devotion. I think they don't quite have Storm the Festival flashback. Alright. They have Old Growth Troll. They definitely will next turn. Alright. I draw another Torch the Tower, which still doesn't do much of anything useful for me. Alright. Flip the Reflection. We can fear of missing out and just get rid of this Thoughtseize because they're empty-handed and are likely to remain that way. Alright. I think we pass. It's tempting to fire up the Unholy Annex here by attacking with the Goblin Shaman, getting a treasure, and then casting it. But it's not even draining them. So, like, I don't know. Doesn't seem incredible. Alright, Storm the Festival. What do you get? Let me guess, like, Wolvenwold Oddity, second Nykthos, which could let you Storm the Festival again. It'll let you Kiora and Storm the Festival again. And then have a billion mana to flip the Oddity. Super done here. Alright, so we need Damping Spheres. That is like our main sideboard card against them. We need... I guess Invoke Despair could kill them at some point. Extinction Event is big enough that it might get some of their bigger guys. Fatal Pushes and Torch the Towers are not big enough to do anything significant, so we cut those. Alright, Alright, that hand does nothing. This hand also doesn't do enough. This hand is good. We will bottom a land and a spell, just to keep the right ratios. And we can Duress, Damping Sphere, hopefully Fable. I think we have to take Kiora, let them have the invasion. Or we could Thoughtseize them. And I think take Outcast or Trailblazer. So we need to draw a land so that we can Fable. And we also are going to need... Alright, we don't draw a land. We can cast Damping Sphere, which does a little bit of work. But we really need the land drop so that we can cast, like, actual spells that kill them. Now we get to do the fun thing where they can't tap their Nykthos, but they can just cast all of their spells manually. Alright. Get the land. Get a Goblin Shaman. And they get to cast Cavalier of Thorns. Alright, Nykthos doesn't do anything. I think we have to discard the Duress. And kill the Cavalier. Just so that we can get any damage through. Alright. We can attack to get a treasure, and then pass the turn. And now they storm the festival, because of course they can. Mono green devotion. It's sort of outrageous that this deck exists. Like, it's not fun to play against. It doesn't have good aggro matchups. It's just like, it's just miserable all around, you know? No one ever has fun with that deck when it's in play. Alright, this hand is great. Thoughtseize into Blade into Unholy Annex. Should be enough in most matchups. Double Enduring Innocence. Fascinating. Mono White Devotion looks like. Well, we're going to play the Blade and the Unholy Annex next turn, and it should be enough to beat Mono White Devotion. Alright, they have Ossification for my Blade. They just top decked that. Still gonna run out the Unholy Annex. And draw another Unholy Annex, which is fantastic, because I have a Mutavault. There's Nykthos, and I assume they're gonna play the Enduring Innocence. No, they just add Yorion to hand. Okay, well, I'm gonna play an Unholy Annex. Fire up the Mutavault, and get my value, and my card draw, and my life gain. Alright, what are they up to? United Battlefront. I'm sure this will be reasonable. Basically, White Collected Company, but for non-creature, non-lands. Also, I think it's better, right? I think Collected Company is top 6. Alright, Perilous Snare, Caretaker's Talent. See, that's the trick with playing cards like that, is you just have to always rip the exact right thing. Right, I'll take your Authority of the Consuls, I guess. Not gonna say no to denying you that. And I'll play a Fable and fire up a Mutavault. So Yorion doesn't do a huge amount here. They have no... Caretaker's Talent currently has no tokens. They don't have max speed for Perilous Snare. I guess they can Fountain Port. So they can definitely draw cards off of Caretaker's Talent if they want. They're going to play Enduring Innocence and just set up for the future. Alright, I'm going to get rid of a land and a Fatal Push, since Fatal Push is really awkward against like everything that they have. Do I just make a demon? No, I think this turn I Fear of Missing Out plus Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Actually, I can afford the tap land this turn. Alright, now I can't. But it's fine, we can work around it. Make a treasure. Trade off the Enduring Innocence, make it a lot harder to kill, but alright. And now we fire up the Mutavault with our treasure. And drain you some more. We are never going to run out of gas. We have infinite Unholy Annex. Alright, they have Nykthos to make Elspeth. Alright, we have a Fable flipping next turn. And that doesn't destroy demons, it does destroy fables. Alright, Builder's Talent to make a wall. Alright, what if I just play 2 Fable of the Mirror Breakers? And fire up the Mutavault. And continue draining you. So they're down to 8 now. Still have 4 cards in hand. The Elspeth is scary, but it doesn't give lifelink or anything. We might be able to play through the Elspeth. Maybe. If we are very, very lucky. We have like a lot of draws at something relevant next turn with double Fable. And even if we don't, we can make a demon copy the demon attack for a billion in the air. Does it give flying until your next turn? Of course it does. But they used it to make tokens. Portable Hole on Fear of Missing Out. Makes sense. They are scared of Reflection plus Fear shenanigans. And just enough mana to Nykthos for another United Battlefront. And probably find some busted stuff. Another Perilous Snare and a Carrot Cake. Alright, they don't take my Reflection of Kiki Jiki, which is pretty cool. Pretty nice of them, I'd say. They play Restoration of Iganjo. Alright, I think they die in the air. These don't have reach, right? No. They have a picture of a bird on them, but that is deceptive. Alright, they're making a billion 1/1s. And then next turn, they're going to 0 Elspeth. And kill us all very, very quickly. Alright, so what do I need here? I would like an untapped land, just to make sure. And Thoughtseize could be relevant. No, they're tapped out. Alright, let's just do some of this stuff. Doesn't really matter. Make demon. Give Demon Flying. Attack with Hasty Demon. And we drain you for 2 on the end step. And we win these. Alright, that was fun. Now we need Hitotsugu Consumes All and Damping Sphere to beat their Nykthos and their tokens. Extinction Event also beats the tokens. Anger the Gods might defeat the tokens, depending on timing. Small creature removal is not where we want to be. Torch the Tower can kill a... whatchamacallit? Enduring Innocence. Might want to keep that in. Go for the Throat and 2x Blood Tithe Harvester, because the odds of attacking through their Infinity tokens is quite small. Alright, this hand does nothing until turn 3. This hand is quite good. It's not like the optimal start, but it's fine. We have a 1-2-3 curve with disruption and threats. So hopefully that'll be good enough. Duress U. Birth of Meletus, Heliod's Intervention, and Elspeth. Obviously going to take the Elspeth. Heliod's Intervention is brutal. And there isn't really much we can do about that except just hopefully get them to use it relatively early. Play Blood Tithe Harvester. They get a wall. Probably should have played the Blade of the Oni so I could at least chip some damage in through the wall. Top deck Wedding Announcement. Alright, definitely should have played the Blade of the Oni. But I will run out the Unholy Annex so I can start drawing. Alright, there's the Caretaker's Talent. There's the copy of the 1/1. Alright, we have a Sheoldred in hand. So that's a good start. I think I just need looks at finding lands and spells. I can take more damage off of this Unholy Annex. It's a shame I can't find a window to play the Blade now that I messed up on turn 2. But also, like, they have Heliod's Intervention. So, looks like they're even doing that this turn. Alright. I think I'm fine with that, tentatively. Alright. Do we anger here? I think we anger here. Let's attack, get our treasure. Alright, with those blocks, I was really hoping for them to block with the wall. With those blocks, I think we just Sheoldred. Alright, they have Perilous Snare. Because of course they do. God, it really is convenient when you just always draw the exact card you need on the turn you need it. It's like an A+ decision by my opponent to get lucky. Alright. Now we anger, sweep away the creatures that do things, and play a Blade of the Oni. And what? Perilous Snare is an artifact, so I can't even, like, kill it easily. What are they tapping Fountain Port for? Carrot Cake, I guess. Alright, I think we're pretty much done here. Like, there's there's no realistic way that we grind out from this point. We just have to concede and try again. And hopefully they don't draw the card that reads destroy my deck. Heliod's Intervention. If they don't draw Heliod's Intervention, we can at least play a game. If they do, then we lose before we begin. Alright, we have Duress, and they've mulliganed once. Please don't keep a hand with both Heliod's Intervention and Elspeth. Alright, Caretaker's Talent and 2 Births. We're going to take the Caretaker's Talent. Their hand is not amazing. Ooh, Thoughtseize. Love to see it. Ossification or Enduring Innocence. I'll take the Enduring Innocence. And play a tap land. So we've managed to poke a hole in their game plan, sort of. They get infinite value, infinite walls. Like, we're never going to be able to attack. We just have to sit here and try to draw an Unholy Annex to burn them out over a couple of turns. Or I guess Fable plus Fear could maybe do something useful. Alright, they draw the Ossification and they use it. I guess that makes sense. I'm going to discard the second Fable only. And I'm going to Fear of Missing Out, discard this Blackleaf Cliffs. Okay, not discarding Shieldred. The shock is just going to be a bluff. I would love to cast Shieldred next turn. Right, they drew a Caretaker's Talent. You see they're a Yorion deck, which means they actually have a lower chance of drawing the copies of their good cards. Which you can tell by the fact that they always draw the copies of their good cards. Alright. Shieldred is in play. Birth of Boletus continues getting them basic planes. And add Yorion to hand. So we can play a Fable and a Fear of Missing Out to draw a card. And attack with Shieldred. They're obviously just gonna block with a wall. Or not, they just take 4. So they can Yorion the Ossification to kill Shieldred. And then we're just going to have to Reflection Fear them, I guess. They are relatively low from Shieldred. Alright, they have a billion mana now. Not quite. It's technically neutral, I think. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. So Nykthos currently neutral, about to be positive once they play this Yorion. Alright, they are tapping. Oh, they have Sunken Citadel, so Nykthos is technically slightly positive right now. Play a Biza. It gains them life and makes them creatures. Exactly what I didn't want them to be able to do this turn. And then also still have enough to Yorion and do it again. Alright, Reflection Fear is going to have to do a lot of work. Because they are back at 20. They're back at 20, they have another land, Shieldred is gone. Alright, I think I just discard both of these. Oh, Hidetsugu Consumes All is beautiful. Caretaker's Talent itself is 3 mana, but this at least Gets rid of all of their stupid little guys. Alright, now let's make a copy of Fear of Missing Out. And attack with it. And untap the Reflection. And make a copy of Fear of Missing Out. And we attack with it. And we untap the Reflection. And we make another copy. And we find the Sokenzan. Alright, not terrible. Do we attack? No, if we attack with everything, that's just terrible. And I'll untap the Reflection. But yeah, so if I attack with more stuff now, they just get rid of all of my Fear of Missing Outs in exchange for their Visa. Alright, so it's going to be very, very difficult to get this, like, actually to deal damage to them. But we can definitely try. Alright, they have Perilous Snare, which means I believe they take Reflection. And I need to wait for the next Fable to come off Summoning Sickness before I can do anything meaningful. They also have Nykthos, by the way. Just in case you forgot, they have infinite mana. And United Battlefront is going to get them another Ossification, which can take one of the fears, but it looks like their United Battlefront mostly bricked. Oh no, they got 2 Ossifications. Alright, so now we have Stone Cold Nothing, and they can like make a Castle Ardenvale token or something, or a Fountain Port token. Why does Nykthos exist? Like why is this a thing that they've decided is fair? Like, has anyone ever in their entire life had fun playing against a deck that played Nykthos to generate infinite mana for no effort? Like come on. Low-key feel like you could start just like putting Nykthos in random decks that play to the board. Like if I have a couple creatures on board, Nykthos might be like +1 mana. Alright. We can keep this. It's got Colors of Mana, it's got Mutavaults. Opponent appears to be doing Dredge of some variety. Could be Greasefang adjacent. Grizzly Salvage. Yep, it is indeed Greasefang adjacent. Well, I have the Go for the Throat, so I don't instantly die. They don't even go for it. Which is so much more annoying. Because now we get to sit here while I play lands and don't cast spells, because if I ever cast a spell, they instantly win. Alright, well, if they have an untapped land, I lose. Of course they do. Okay, Unlicensed Terse. Hitotsugu consumes all. Anoint with Affliction. Duresses aren't good. And Fatal Pushes normally don't kill Greasefang. Alright, we will keep this and hope they don't have it super early. We do need to go digging to find an answer. Alright, they have Thoughtseize on 1 because the instant win on turn 3 if you don't have interaction combo deck. Incidentally, also a good mid-range deck. I top deck a Thoughtseize, I'm very lucky. I guess I take Vanishing Verse and play a land. I guess I play an Unholy Annex. So they don't have much Greasefang related shenanigans at the moment. If I draw an untapped land, I can play Sheoldred, and that really does the clock. Alright. Did they hit anything interesting? No, I also did not hit an untapped land. Second Unholy Annex draws me a third Unholy Annex and an untapped land right on time. So next turn, I will Sheoldred. Right. Mutavault. Sheoldred. I'm going to gain back all of this life that I just lost. Sheoldred blocks the Chariot quite well. And Hidetsugu consumes all, gets rid of the tokens next turn. Back up to 18. Still have a full grip. Alright, Grizzly Salvage. Finds a Greasefang. And a Sky Sovereign. Because of course it does. Why wouldn't it? You know. Alright, Sky Sovereign is 3 damage to a thing. So Sheoldred technically lives. But it's when it enters or attacks. So Sheoldred doesn't live. And I go to 8. Alright, so first we need to get rid of these cats. Second, I need to play an untapped land. Third, I need to fire up Mutavault. And then I need to draw a removal spell for Greasefang. I didn't draw a removal spell for Greasefang. Alright, there's Azeka's Chariot. Why is that legendary? Like, actually, under what circumstances was it necessary to make Azeka's Chariot legendary? Okay, cool. Another game where my opponent just gets incredibly lucky. Like, if they didn't hit Greasefang plus Sky Sovereign off of that Grizzly Salvage, which getting both of those is very unlikely, then they just get completely annihilated. Like, I win easily, but nope. They always have it. Alright. We have turn 1 Duress into a bunch of creatures. Hopefully that'll be good enough. Alright, Duress. Gonna take the Quarry Steel Cutter. We're playing against Is It Phoenix? I'm gonna play a Red Source and a Blood Tithe Harvester. Time to get the beatdown on. I would love to draw a black mana so that I can play Sheoldred on 4. Alright, another Duress. Is not incredible, but it is something. Take the Lightning Axe, because that beats my Sheoldred. Attack for 3. Play Fear of Missing Out. Go for the Throat is atrocious in this matchup. Basic Swamp would be a pretty cool draw. Would not mind drawing a Basic Swamp. They are digging away. They haven't found a phoenix yet, and I took their cutter. Alright, so far, basic swamps are a no-go. Alright, at least we have a Thoughtseize. They Fiery Impulse, put a Phoenix in the bin. Okay, Picklock Prankster is the highest value. Like, it puts a bunch of cards in the graveyard, could hit another Phoenix. Sleight of Hand is more likely for them to get a Phoenix back this turn exactly. But in the future, it doesn't really matter. Right, they're shocking, so it looks like they found a treasure cruise. By the way, they're looking at their graveyard. Alright. And third spell looks like a removal spell for Fear. There's a Lightning Axe. Better there than on Shieldred. Assuming I ever draw the basic swamp to play Shieldred. Alright. Tap land. Fire up Mutavault, attack you for 5. Dead on board. Alright, Prophytic Memory isn't amazing here. So it will probably just be giving them a big blocker, if anything. Like, they can't attack with this Phoenix. Alright, they find another Phoenix, but with Props as one of their spells, it's not coming back this turn. Alright, Fiery Impulse as the last spell. So opponent has managed to basically do it all. And now they get to attack me for 8. And Shieldred isn't enough anymore. I need a removal spell for the Arclight Phoenix. Nope, doesn't matter. God, imagine if, like, everything is the same, except I don't get hilariously unlucky on drawing my 4th land. Like, I had a bunch of extra looks, and it just didn't matter. Alright, Fatal Push is useless. Go for the Throat, pretty useless. Withering Torment, technically useful. Blood Tithe Harvester, pretty useless. Okay, I had so many looks at a 4th land, and if I had, I would have won easily. Because the reason their Phoenix was big is because they drew a bunch of cards, and they would have died. So, just more unreasonably bad luck for me. Alright, we have turn 2 Damping Sphere. Will that be enough? Probably not. Opponent is mulliganed. It's always a good sign. Blood Crypt tapped. Turns 2 and 3 are Blackleaf Cliffs. Alright. We wind up with a tap land at some point. Alright. I was worried they were about to Spell Pierce me or annul, but the Damping Sphere resolves, and it should buy me some time. Alright, this time we have the mana we need. Crackling Drake in the bin is good. Artist's Talent is their spell for the turn. I'm going to play Shieldred. Just every... So now there are 2 things making it harder for them to go off. So hopefully they won't be able to play through Shieldred and Damping Sphere, and then if I can untap and duress them, that would be even better. Alright, Quarry Steel Cutter. And 2 mana Opt. This card is so good. Why is this card so good? Alright, we are going to dress you. Take a Lightning Axe, because it kills Shieldred. Play a tap land. Channel a Sokenzan, I guess. And attack. They trade the Monk for a 1/1 instead of blocking the Shieldred. Well, now they're at 7. These Treasure Cruises basically kill them. Alright. We managed to get a win. Let's just do that again so we can have, like, literally a match win over the last couple of matches. Alright. And ready. If they didn't have answers for Damping Sphere in the main deck, they definitely have them now. But it's still probably good enough to keep a hand based off of it. I would love more interaction than just the one thing. Everything is just showing up in the worst possible order. I think I fear of missing out pitching a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. And then next turn I Thoughtseize plus something. Right, Thoughtseize you. They could have a Spell Pierce. They don't. A whole bunch of removal, a Crackling Drake, and a Picklock Prankster. I think I take the Picklock Prankster and play an Unlicensed Hearse. The Crackling Drake is a concern because it doesn't care about the graveyard, it cares about graveyard and exile, but I have to believe that at some point I'm going to draw a removal spell for a Crackling Drake. Alright, no, they even discard it to a Lightning Axe. That's fine. Alright. Sleight of hand, they're building up their prowess creature and really nothing else. They're not going to be able to find a Phoenix usefully. Okay. That's Artist's Talent. And they do swing for 5 here, which is not a small amount of damage. I believe I'm supposed to take spells out of their graveyard. Alright, Duress them. That's pretty good. Take their Lightning Axe. And I'm just going to blow up their monks. Alright, hopefully this is good. They're just firing up the Artist's Talent. We'll get more cards under the Unlicensed Hearse before they all go away from Hitotsugu. I'm going to play Fable, because now there's no real chance that they are going to be doing their thing anytime soon, so I need to do my thing, and that also involves attacking for 4 with the Hearse. Alright, just leveling up Artist Talent again. I assume their last spell is like either an uncastable Treasure Cruise or something along those lines. I'm going to get rid of 2 cards. Draw 2 cards. Alright, we find an Unholy Annex. That's huge. I'm going to fire up the Mutavault. Go attacking. And yeah, just pass. Alright, Shieldred is great. They have a hardcast Phoenix. And a land and equip the Quarry Steel Cutter to the Phoenix. I will be very, very disappointed if this is good enough to beat me. Alright, let's see. Don't have good attacks with the Goblin Shaman. We do have good attacks with the Vessel and the Hearse. Let's play Shieldred. And... yeah, okay. Shieldred was enough for them to scoop there. Alright. Good back and forth games with Izzet Phoenix, as usual. Alright. Let's squeeze one more game in. If this ends up being a long, grindy match, then oh well. Okay, we have no real interaction. I think we mulligan. Alright, this is sort of a comical hand. But if Duress Thoughtseize doesn't win me the game, then that's unfortunate. Alright, we're going to take the Teferi. And then untap and take the Wandering Emperor and hope to draw a land for the rest of the game. Like, if we just draw 4 lands in a row, I would be very happy. Alright, so far Operation Draw 4 lands in a row, working pretty well. Take a stock up, take another stock up. So I'm not entirely sure how I'm beating Wandering Emperor. Probably should have played that land on red, but... Alright, Field of Ruin my Urborg, please. Alright, Blackleaf Cliffs. You love to see it. This is going to get normalized, but actually it can't. They don't have 2 colors of mana. Alright, that's actually pretty big then. They blow up the Urborg. Get a basic swamp. If they'd blown up the Blackleaf Cliffs, that unironically could have been worse for me. Alright, discard Go for the Throat. I think we keep Torch the Tower because we might get Wandering Emperor with it at some point. So they have no more lives available now, so I'm gonna pass. This is counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. Alright, we've been marched. And we've been get losted. Alright, and they find another land. And please let me draw something good. 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm not quite at the point where I can Shieldred around No More Lies. I'm just going to play a tap land and pass. Alright, they're going to flash in Wandering Emperor.
I am the Emperor
And
of Goa, and I will
make a
protect
2/2. I'm going to deal 2 damage to the Wandering Emperor.
See you later.
So they have a creature, but they don't have a Planeswalker, and that's the important part. Also, this is the exact kind of match I didn't really want to be playing right this close to the end. So we can play Shieldred around a copy of No More Lies using a treasure. Alright, now we're going to map token while we can. Draw a land. Not the worst thing in the world. Another creature, not the worst thing in the world. Alright. Opponent, can you beat a 5/6 Shieldred? The answer is probably. Alright. We go to attacks, and if you have Wandering Emperor number 2, then I'll be sad. They just jump block. I'm going to play the Blade of the Oni and reconfigure it onto the Shieldred. If given the option, of course. Alright, so now sweeper. Even if they sweeper, I'll still have a creature on the board. Alright, they go to their turn, draw a card. Thank you, Shieldred. Very cool. And they pass, doing nothing. I'm going to attack. Can't play around Wandering Emperor number 2, really. Play Blood Tithe Harvester. They're down to 8, which is not a lot of life. And I have a Blade of the Oni reconfigured. Alright. Memory Deluge might find them an out. They need a Farewell or something. Is Farewell legal in this format? I don't even know. Although they can't even cast Farewell this turn. Alright, Supreme Verdict leaves me with the Blade. And I'm gonna just do this real quick. Just channel a Takenuma, get a Shieldred back, and put them in the same situation as last time. And they're now at 1. They need another sweeper. Alright. They say good game. And they don't concede. They play Biza. Alright. Biza is annoying. Fear of missing out. Gets countered. Brutal. If I attack here, they double block and I lose my Shieldred. I think I have to pass and just hope they don't have an answer to Shieldred for the next couple of turns. Untap land. Alright, Sokenzan is, if they double block Shieldred, then one Sokenzan token gets through. That's not good enough, I don't think. It's very nearly good enough. Alright, Fable is very good. Still playing around this No More Lies that I've known is in their hands since the beginning. We continue to pass. Now they go to 1 on their upkeep. Alright, Memory Deluge Part 2. Alright, so a regular sweeper doesn't do it because Blade of the Oni comes back and they lose their blockers. And it's very close. Like, anytime the blue-white deck can stave off death for just another turn, like this many times, it starts getting very worrying. Alright, they end step. Kill Shieldred, play Teferi. Yeah, I think we're losing now. I can make Goblin Shaman a 5/5 menace. And try to draw a removal spell for the Biza. Oh, another Shieldred. It's a thing of wonder. If I reconfigure, I don't have enough to also play Shieldred. I'm just going to run this card out real quick. If I attack with Blade... No, I'm not going to do that. That seems risky. They have another March of Otherworldly Light. Because of course they do. So I can still make Goblin Shaman. Yeah, I think I lose this game probably. Like I have to play it out because there's Unholy Annexes to draw. There's removal spells for Biza to draw. And I have a Blade of the Oni when they're at 3. But I think this is slipping away. Alright, they get to do that. Alright, I'm going to reconfigure onto Goblin Shaman. Make it a 5/5 menace. And attack them for lethal. Make a treasure token. Alright, they double block with fishes. Okay, so I could kill Biza or I could kill both fish. I think I have to kill Biza. They can Teferi tuck the blade if it's desperate. I'm gonna play the second Fable. They might have a counterspell still, but they don't. That's huge. Alright, so we've dealt with Biza. We have a Reflection and a Blade. We're just so close. They don't minus the Teferi, which means either they're desperately digging for something, or they already have it. They have Farewell. Okay. Okay, at this point we need to draw Unholy Annex. Fear of Missing Out is an above average draw. It gets us a redraw. Blade of the Oni threatens to win the game. Temporary Lockdown gets rid of my creatures. Is it true to say that all 4 Unholy Annexes are in the bottom half of my deck? I believe it is. Alright. So you're saying there's a chance. Give me my creatures back, please. Teferi is on 8. And they... So if they ultimate Teferi and then draw an additional card... Alright. Another temporary lockdown, and they ultimate Teferi, and the game is now over. Because even if I draw Unholy Annex at this point... I mean, I'll play creatures, I guess. But if this Fear of Missing Out is the only thing I draw this turn... Alright. I guess I'll make a demon. Yep, alright. Absolutely brutal. Fatal Pushes, obviously out. Go for the Throats, out. Withering Torment, probably actually fine. Torch the Tower, out. Invoke Despair, Liliana. Bankbuster. And how do they even win? Is it just... Sadness. I think they win with Wandering Emperor, so I'm going to bring in some board wipes. Alright. Well, we lost game 1, which means For the purposes of my schedule, I'm kind of hoping to lose this game as well. But I'm going to try my best. But if we have to play a game 3, I'm going to be very sad. I can't believe my opponent got incredibly lucky and beat me again. Like, I had so many must-answer threats, and they just answered all of them with no problem. And it's not like they were super high on resources either. They had like 1 or 2 cards in hand for most of that game. And they were always just the correct 1 or 2 cards. Opponent is taking forever sideboarding. Okay. Please sideboard quickly so that we can play a game. Thank you. Alright, this hand is pretty good. We have early threats, we have card advantage stuff, we have disruption. Alright, Swamp Duress. And I'll take your Teferi. I can deal with a single copy of Get Lost. So let's play a Fear of Missing Out. Discarding Blood Tithe Harvester. Alright, we find a Blackleaf Cliffs. That's probably one of the better lands in the deck for this situation. Alright, that's creature, enchantment, or planeswalker. So I'd really rather them use the Get Lost before I play Liliana. So I'm going to run out of Fable as well. See if they get lost that. Alright, blue source, and add Yorion to hand. Alright, let's get rid of some random cards that are relatively low impact. Draw a bunch of lands. I'll play a Mutavault in case the Summoning Sickness becomes relevant later. We'll play Liliana.
Enough with the mysteries.
Have us both discard a card.
We all have things we'd rather.
And then attack you for 4, make a treasure token. Cast the other Fear of Missing Out, draw a card. Alright, it's an Unholy Annex. That's a pretty excellent draw. That's the sort of thing we need to grind late game with them. Alright, they play Ibiza, make a bunch of fish. So those are all even. Unfortunately, my stuff is also all even. I think this turn... Do I plus Liliana here? I think so. I think Extinction Event is fine to not have.
You won't be outsmarting me.
I don't think I'm too worried about Biza and a couple of fish. If I have Unholy Annex drawing cards and Liliana plussing. Alright, there's Yorion. Blinking to Biza. I will play a land and a demon. And take your last card out of your hand.
We all have things we'd rather forget.
And draw a card. Alright, this game is going quite well. We are about to Liliana minus them. Alright, do I do that now? I think I just fire off the Liliana minus. And I think we do lands versus spells.
Normally, I'm the one who chooses who lives and who dies.
So those are your piles. You can decide whether you want creatures to not instantly die or lands to get to continue playing the game. Liliana minus is pretty good in this situation, I would say. Above average. Alright, they choose death. Alright, fear of missing out has delirium. Okay. This is very silly, but I'm going to play another Unholy Annex. And, yeah, so I hit them for a billion, and I think they die. Alright. Let's finish this off. Hopefully we can win another quick game. I'm going to probably concede relatively aggressively since we are past when the stream is supposed to end. Alright, opponent is taking forever to sideboard again. Alright. 30 seconds, not that long. A little bit long for game 3, but... Alright. This hand does nothing early. This hand at least does something. We're going to bottom the Anger of the Gods. And try Blade of the Oni plus Unholy Annex and just win. Alright. Blade of the Oni resolves. Always feel a bit lucky when my spells hit the table. Now I need to draw an untapped land. If I draw an untapped land, which I believe on 3 is every land in the deck, then I'm in pretty good shape. Chroma Host's Seed Shark is scary, but Blade of the Oni has Menace. And they probably have removal for Blade of the Oni at some point. But in the meantime, I'm going to very much take advantage of it while it exists. They have a single white source, so no Wandering Emperor this turn. Could be some other removal spell. Alright, they're down to 8. Just a Memory Deluge. Seems slow. Seems like they might wind up being too slow here. Double Unholy Annex is a lot of Unholy Annex. The question is if they have Farewell. If they have Farewell, obviously nothing I do matters. But that'll be next turn. Just to Fairy Hero of Dominaria. That is painfully slow. Like, they are taking so much damage. Alright, so I think the line here is land... Ah, I see. They can fire up the incubators. So I'm going to unlock a Ritual Chamber. So the thing that loses me the game here is exactly untap. They play an untapped land, they play Farewell. So I'm just going to do things where it doesn't matter whether, like, it doesn't make me worse if they Farewell, basically. So things I already have on board. They're down to 4, I have a Shieldred. Discard a tapped land, I guess.
No time for a break.
I wonder if they know that Teferi can minus to kill 6/6 demon tokens. Or if they just forgot about that. So this Seed Shark could win them the game pretty quickly if they want to. Supreme Verdict. So they need to also have an answer to the second Ritual Chamber. Which they very well could. They're going to have, what, 4 mana available? Are they just firing up an Incubator? So they're only going to have 2 mana available? That seems good for me. Alright. 6/6 Demon. Can you beat it? Alright, the answer is they cannot. Alright, turns out enchantments that deal damage to your opponent, pretty good against sweeper-based control. Alright, we managed to get a win there somehow. And didn't even take that long. Alright, well, thanks everyone for hanging out. You know, despite the bad luck, I still had fun today. I will be back playing Magic the Gathering on Tuesday and Satisfactory on Friday, which is tomorrow. So 2 to 5 Eastern Time as usual. And I believe that is that. Make sure to follow if you haven't already. It means a lot to me. Also helps you find me again.